Hello, you beautiful souls, and welcome back to another episode of The Soulful Self. My name is Hannah, I'm your host, and today we are diving into the last but not least of the chakras, the Crown Chakra. So, if you have been following along on our chakra series, this is the final chakra, and this chakra's energy also goes very deep into the woo woo and just happens to be another one of my favorites. I get very passionate about this topic, so don't mind me if I go off on a few of my tangents. But I'm excited to share all this information with you because I think it's so beautiful and such a magical part of life that there is a lot of disconnect from. So, creating an awareness and starting to develop a deeper relationship with your crown chakra can bring so much spirituality and magic and love and light and peace into your life. So let's get into it. When I think of the crown chakra, I always see it as there being essentially a channel, like a beam of light from the top of our head that beams out into the universe. And it's essentially an energetic channel that connects us to God, it connects us to each other, it connects us to all living things like plants and animals, Mother Earth, and it helps us to be in tune with the energy around us. And you can use intention to use your channel to connect to certain things, whether it be angels or guides or ancestors or whatever it is that you feel called to work with. When this channel is open, you have this clear line of communication with God or whoever it is that you are trying to connect with, and you can receive intuitive downloads when you're tapped into this higher frequency. You're going to have so much wisdom and insights and just understandings, answers to your situation that you need clarity on. All this just comes in through your crown chakra. And when you're tapped into these higher frequencies, you're probably also very good at being aware of the energy of other people as well, right? It's like those subtle changes in energy you can feel, so you know, like when there's a shift in the room, when somebody's, in a mood, and all these little things that you could just you can pick up on with ease. So essentially, our brain is like this computer system, and think about it, it really is. Our brain is like the computer that runs so much of our body, our reality, our intelligence. And when you have this chakra open, the universe can just drop files right into your computer, and you end up having access to so much information that it's insane. But most people have blocks in their crown chakra. I would say most of the human population. I think so many people want to take credit for all these thoughts and ideas and inspirations that they have. And I mean, for sure, if you choose to act on these and you put in the work and you birth them into this physical reality, you totally deserve some of the credit. But for when it comes to the inspiration and the ideas, a lot of it, if not all of it, is such a gift from God. And so say you want to invent something, or you want to create something new, or you have this wave of inspiration to start a new project, to change careers, to whatever it is. Essentially, this is God sending you all this information into your brain to help you do exactly what it is that you feel called to do. Okay, maybe you're struggling at work, you're like, okay, I'm done. Then you have this idea of a new way you can make money, a new way of living. Maybe you're like, I want to be a millionaire, and God gives you this seed, this idea of something that you can grow into what makes you a millionaire. And that's why we all have these different ideas and passions and want to do all these things in our life to fix problems that this world has. It's all us being a part of this bigger divine plan. So when I think about an example of this, I like to think about the Into the Spider-Verse movies. Don't know if you've ever seen it, but it's actually one of my all-time favorite movies. and I'm such a big fan of the art, and the concept behind these movies are absolutely incredible. If you've never watched it, there's two, and the third one comes out in 2027. But to me, watching this movies, it teaches about different dimensions and the multiverse and how everything's so interconnected, and we have these moments in our life that makes us who we are, and it's the concept is so beautiful. But to me, it was absolutely no coincidence that at this point in history, when all this awakening is happening, when we're starting to learn more about quantum physics and all these ideas are starting to be a reality, not just something totally mainstream made up, only would happen in movies. And they do such a good job at explaining the multiverse and dimensions and how it works. And I believe that it's fully accurate, at least a very good representation of what is going on. And I'm not a scientist, but I've done a lot of psychedelics, and something about just being connected to that like high spiritual realms, it gives me full body chill sensations when I see that, and like how beautifully they portrayed it. So if you've never seen the Into or Across the Spider-Verse movie, please go do yourself a favor and watch it. They are so good. I'm a super Spider-Man fan, but all over a good movie. It's kind of a kids movie, but it's my favorite. So now maybe you're wondering, what about all the different thoughts that we have in a day? They can't all be from God or universe. They can't all be something sending energy into my channel. Well, like I talked about in the last episode, our brain being like a radio. When it's tuned into certain frequencies, that's the frequency that we're vibrating at, and that's the information that we're getting into our channel. So we can use it as an indicator to help see and navigate. Maybe we're in a low vibration and it's uncomfortable. We have a lot of negative thoughts. Our life is more difficult. Maybe you feel like nothing's working out for you, blah, blah, blah. It goes on and on and on. Well, chances are your crown chakra is very closed. You're closed off to the inspiration and the magic and the gifts that God's giving you. And it creates this very negative disconnection, sad reality that you're living in. Often things like depression and anxiety and all these things happen. And it comes from being disconnected from source, from God, from creator, from whatever it is you want to call it. And when we can tune this radio into a high frequency, we're experiencing uplifting thoughts. We have endless ideas for creation. Our crown chakra is open, it's flowing. We are in flow with the universe and everything. Life becomes so much easier, more magical. Yeah, there's going to be lessons you have to learn along the way, but these lessons become so much clearer, and you can learn them on the first try, not having to repeat the same pattern 100 times before you're like, oh, this is what it's trying to teach me. So just an idea, something to keep in in the back of your mind. If you're experiencing a lot of negative patterns, maybe it's an indication that your crown chakra is closed. Maybe it's an indication that your radio is tuned into a low vibration and it's time to do some work to tune it into a higher frequency. Another thing that I like to use this as an example for our brains being at certain frequencies is, have you ever been talking to somebody and you say something and they look at you and they say, oh my God, that's exactly what I was thinking? Well, yeah, essentially, when that happens, your brain was picking up on the same frequency as the other person. And I think it's really cool when that happens. But you'll notice, or at least I've noticed, it happens to me the most when you're with somebody that you spend a lot of time with, that you share a lot of beliefs with, that your lives are very similar and you're in that very similar vibrational state. It happens to me and my sister all the time when we're together. You're like, oh, that's what I was going to say. Oh, that's what I was thinking. Oh, we're on the same wavelength. Literally on the same wavelength. So anyway, I'm kind of nerdy, but I think that that's really cool and interesting and something to put the idea, the theory in perspective. So it's important that when we want to create our own realities, which is a gift from God and something that we're actually doing whether or not we want to, or we're trying to or not. It's God's gift as the creator, the gift of creation, and we're creating our reality every single day based off of our beliefs, based off of our thoughts, based off of the frequency we're in, all these things, the decisions that we make every day, our habits, our lifestyle, all these things create our reality. And they're all a part of it. When we can shift into different frequencies, our whole life can change in an instant. Sometimes things literally change overnight. Sometimes things can literally change in the blink of an eye. Sometimes things change over a period of time as you're slowly evolving. But there is times where you have switch flip in your brain and you're all of a sudden, it's like you jumped timelines or you're in an alternate reality and now you're here and now you can see so clearly in front of you. So I think it's also very important to note and understand, just for, the purpose of our well-being, but also for this chakra as well, is that it's important to know that we are not our thoughts. We are the observer of our thoughts. So if your mind often gets overwhelmed with thoughts, if you have thoughts that you don't like, if you have a thought and you're like, where the hell did that come from? A lot of it, all of it is not us. We are what is observing our thoughts. Okay, so I like to think like we're in the back of our mind and our thoughts are out in front. They're going by. They're the cars driving by on the road. You have all these thoughts, you see all these thoughts. But if we don't know that and we don't understand that, we attach to these thoughts and they become our identity and we think we are these thoughts. So it can become so easy for us to get trapped in a low vibration, in a negative thinking patterns, and it pulling down our energy every single day because we have this thought and we're not like, oh, I don't like that new thought, move on. We attach to it and we give it our energy. We're giving that thought life and it's taking over our life. So that's just something to keep in mind. Okay, now let's really get into all the information about the crown chakra. The name for the crown chakra is Sahasrara. It is derived from the Sanskrit name meaning thousand-petaled lotus, which is the symbol of this chakra, and it represents limitless potential for spiritual awakening, enlightenment, and divine connection. The phrase for the crown chakra is I am connected, and the mantra is Om. The color that represents the crown chakra is rather violet or white. Our crown chakra is located at the top of our head. Essentially, if you were wearing a crown on your head, that is exactly where it is. And physically, it governs over your brain, cerebral cortex, central nervous system, pineal gland, it shares with the third eye, pituitary gland, skull. So think about things like migraines and headaches and pressure, tension, and tingling in your brain, in your head. That all has to do with the crown chakra. Energetically, the crown chakra rules over our aura or energetic field, although there is a layer for every chakra that is attached to our energetic field. Spiritual connection, higher consciousness, deeper inner knowing, and our soul's truth. Unity and connection between everyone and everything. Purpose, expanded awareness, which is our attention to energy, synchronicities, shifts, things like that. Wisdom and divine intelligence. Peace and inner stillness, which is why it's so important that we practice meditation, being present, and connection to the infinite. So we know that the crown chakra is associated with being connected to the universe, receiving guidance. It's the bridge between heaven and earth, the center of spirit, enlightenment, wisdom, universal consciousness, and connection to higher guidance. So we are going to dive deeper into some of these core themes. The first core theme is spiritual connection. So this is our link to source, universe, God, higher self, whatever you want to call it. This is our connection to that, to what something that's bigger than us, to what we are all a part of. It's a sense of being guided, supported, and connected to something bigger, feeling part of the divine plan rather than feeling alone in this world. It's how connection shows up through synchronicities, intuitive downloads, peace, just feelings. And it is, I think, why there is a lot of people on this planet who have a big block in their crown chakra. That lack of faith, that lack of connection, that lack of spirituality creates that, and it's creating a lot of issues. Okay, the next one is higher consciousness. So this one is expanding beyond the physical ego-based reality. It allows us to have more dimensional experiences. It allows us to be aware of the multiple layers of existence, emotional, energetic, soul levels. Not everything is just physical. The shifts from human perspective to cosmic perspective, and understanding life events through the lens of growth, lessons, and evolution. So it helps us to see when we're going through something difficult that it's not just the world sucks and everything's failing. Like, what is it teaching us? How can we grow? What direction is it trying to point us in? Why is this happening to me? There has to be a deeper meaning, and things just become a lot easier to deal with and navigate. Number 3 is inner knowing and soul truth. So, this is the deepest, clearest form of intuition. It goes beyond fear, emotion, or doubt. It's recognizing truth simply by feeling its resonance, and ancient wisdom that feels remembered and not learned. Okay, this is a really big one because this new age spirituality, I'm using air quotes in my finger with my fingers, is becoming this big trend, and it's like people are discovering spirituality, but I'm sorry to tell you, this is ancient wisdom, and it's just our souls remembering these things and feeling how true they are and how much they are lacking in this world. And I think it's wonderful that there are so many people feeling called to this, knowing that in religion, the way that God was described or used for control and sense of fear was wrong, and knowing that they believed in something bigger than them and a God, but maybe it's not how it's explained in this religion or that religion, or how it's been told to you in your life. And we have these deeper inner knowings in these soul truths where you'll have this moment and you hear somebody say something, and you can know deep inside, deep down, an instant feeling of like, yes, that's true, or no, that's not true. There's something missing to that story. That never happened. That's not the whole truth, which can become very powerful when we're trying to discern through all this information that we get on the media and stories that other people are trying to tell us. And it just helps us to stay strong in our truth and be able to navigate all this influx of information we have everywhere that contradicts itself. And it's the difference between mind based thinking and soul based knowing. So it can be very easy to be very in our heads, and we get stuck in thoughts, and but it's not aligned with anything. It's not necessarily true. It's just chatter. It's just a whole lot of information with nothing you can do with it, versus soul based knowing, right? We just talked about that full body. Yes, this is true for me. Yes, this is what I need to do. This is where I need to go. Things like that. Okay, moving on. The next one is surrender and trust. This is letting go of control and moving into acceptance, flow, and peace. Trusting the universe's timing instead of forcing outcomes to happen. Surrendering as a strength and not a weakness. I think we hear the word surrender and we've been taught by society that it means you're weak or you failed or you're giving up. But surrender is such a strength because it's saying, I trust you. I trust that you know what's best for me. I trust that you know the path that I'm meant to walk. So I'm going to not fight my way through this river, swimming upstream, making everything more difficult because I think I know what's best. And you relax and you surrender and you become in the state of flow, and you just freely flow where the universe needs to take you, and it becomes such a strength because it's easier for you to get over obstacles. You're not exhausted all the time, and it's like a superpower. So don't think of surrendering as being weak or not strong enough to fight this uphill battle. You don't need to fight the uphill battle. You need to let go and flow with the river. And learning to soften and release resistance, being open to guidance, okay? life doesn't need to be so hard. We don't need to be so closed and, again, make everything so difficult. The universe wants to help us. God wants us to have all these things that we desire. We are the ones getting in our own way. And when we have this connection closed off, it's really hard to hear that guidance, to see those signs and those synchronicities and be like, oh, I need to go this way. Oh, this is what's next for me. Oh, that's why I met this right person at the right time. Things like that. Next is unity consciousness or oneness. So, this is understanding that everything is so deeply connected, energetically, emotionally, spiritually, seeing yourself and others and dissolving judgment and separation. We are all one. We all come here the same way. We are all made of the same elements. We are all humans having a human experience. We are all souls having a human experience. We all are born, we all die. There's nothing so distinctly that makes us completely different from another. And our ego, if our ego is driving the car, it can be very easy to point a finger and judge, and you create this separation between you and others, and it's so damaging energetically, emotionally, spiritually, physically. It can have so many repercussions in your life, and then you can end up feeling so alone and separate from the unity consciousness and the fact, the sole truth that we are all one. We are all a God. We are all creation. We are all expressed in a different way. So it is compassion as a natural state when you recognize oneness. It allows us to have this empathy and compassion and understanding for others instead of judging somebody for their decision or their situation. We don't know the whole truth, we don't know their whole life. We want to give everybody love and compassion the same way we would wish to receive it from another. If we were in a situation where we're hurt, where we're struggling, where we need help, and everybody was closed you out and was judging you, that would be terrible. That would be absolutely crippling to the soul. So it's important to have that compassion and make that be your natural state of being, of existing, even the worst person in the world. If somebody did something so terrible to you, you want to be angry. You want to have hatred. You want all these things. But the truth is, what if that was you? What if you made a mistake? What if you were hurt so badly that somebody did something so badly to you that you then wanted to hurt somebody else so badly? People don't do terrible things unless terrible things have been done to them. And I'm not making excuses for people that do terrible things. I don't think it's okay. But I think we need to have empathy in a way that you have to feel a little bit bad for what could have possibly happened to somebody to make them treat others that way. I think that's just a question that you should always have in the back of your mind, especially if you're looking and going to skip and hop and jump right to judgment. Remind yourself, ask yourself that question. I wonder what happened to them that made them this way. Chances are that person needs a hug. Chances are that person did not experience love in their life. Chances are that person has been formed, molded into that way based on their circumstances. So compassion is so important. And it shifts from a me versus them to we're all connected. We're all in this together. We're all here. We're all trying to figure it out as we go. We're all trying to learn. We're all on these paths. We all have to make decisions. We all make mistakes. We're all just trying our best. And it's not you versus anyone. We are in this together, and there has been such a separation because in history of all the wars and all these issues we have, like racism and whatever, that's caused so much trauma and hurt for people for a long time. And humanity didn't practice compassion and understanding and realization that the color of your skin doesn't make you any freaking different. So now we have this awareness, we have this enlightenment, we have this understanding where we can make these decisions. We know now, I hope for the love of God, we've fucking learned something from the last 100 years of history and farther back. it's this, I hope. I hope this is something that everybody can learn in this lifetime. Okay, next is purpose and alignment. So, feeling aligned with your soul's path, mission, and higher calling, recognizing the lessons and themes in your life, finding meaning in your experiences, both joyful and painful. Okay, both joy and pain are teachers and meant to be there to guide us in a direction. If something brings you joy, it's an indication that you're on the right path. If something causes you pain, it's probably an indication that you need to do some reflecting. Why did that hurt me? Is there something there that's not healed? Or am I trying to be pivoted in a new direction? Right? It's good to be aware of these things and these feelings so that you can more easily navigate your experience and stay in alignment with your purpose. So, when our crown chakra is open, our life feels guided rather than random. We realize that things are synchronicities and not coincidences, okay? It's the universe putting a sign in front of us saying, "Hi, good job. That was the right decision. Here's a reward. Here's something as subtle as a butterfly landing on you." But when something's not in alignment, it's a whoa, that was a really big bump in the road and that shook me. Does that mean maybe I should be reevaluating my decisions? Probably. Okay, so next is expanded awareness. This is becoming more sensitive to the subtle energies, signs, and symbolic messages, receiving insights, downloads, and intuitive clarity. It's seeing beyond the obvious and into the energetic and spiritual layers of life, expanding our awareness beyond the self and into the collective. Being so aware of these little shifts in energy, it is so important, and it gives us a freaking superpower, like we talked about with the third eye. Our intuition is such a gift from God, and it is a whole language on its own of how we can see, how we can communicate, how we can tell if somebody's lying to us, if we're not safe, if whatever it is. It helps us navigate life in a whole nother frequency, and it is so important, and it's a gift from God. And if you don't have a relationship with your intuition, it's something you've closed off, it's something you've lost touch with, please do yourself a favor and start to look into that. Start to create those practices for yourself, because it's honestly such a huge tool, and it's so simple once you get into it, and it's magic and it's fun, and you can turn it into a game. Anyway, I'm very passionate about intuition if you haven't noticed. Okay, next is peace, bliss, and inner stillness. This is the effortless peace that comes from connection to the divine, to feel guided, held, supported, and safe, a sense of calm that isn't dependent on external conditions, and states of bliss or deep serenity during meditation or in the presence of spiritual energy. So we want to be in the state of peace. If we were in our most pure states as a human, without all the trauma, without all the drama, without all the things that make us feel a certain way, we would be in a feeling of love and peace and bliss, because we know we are supported, we are loved, we are taken care of, we are guided. Everything works out for us. All we have to do is try our best to make the world a better place, to follow our purpose, and everything else just kind of figures itself out. Next is wisdom and divine intelligence. This is receiving insights that feel channeled or beyond our own experience. This is connected to the universal wisdom or higher intelligence. It's creativity, inspiration, and clarity flowing easily to and from our bodies, and the understanding that wisdom doesn't come from the mind, it comes through you. Wisdom is a full body experience. Yes, you might experience it as a thought in like having this information in your brain, but it usually comes with a whole body sensation, like a chill, or just that feeling of peace, or just that feeling of calm, like, oh, I know that. I'm not anxious about how that makes me feel. I feel safe in my body with that information. It feels good to me. Number 10 is the ego release, letting go of attachment, fear, comparison, or the need to be right. Recognizing that the ego is just this protective layer and it's not our identity, right? Our ego's job is to keep us safe, to prevent us from dying. So we have to learn to recognize when is our ego that's jumping up and saying, hey, that was rude. Hey, this person doesn't like me. Hey, hey, hey. Anytime it's like instant judgment, I'll give you a hint, it's the ego. So, moving into neutrality and non reactivity. So, if something happens that's negative, instead of wanting to instantly react and be hateful and have all these negative emotions and cause you to spiral, it's better to just be like, okay, move on. What can you do? Not a lot. The longer you sit there and sulk and be in these low vibrating emotions, the harder it is. Look at the lesson, look at the hidden blessing, because sometimes things seem terrible, but sometimes they're a gift. And living from soul truth instead of survival instincts or stories. A lot of us live in the fight or flight, okay? Our nervous system is all over the place. We don't feel safe. Our bodies constantly has anxiety and fear and all these things, and it's terrible for the body, it's terrible for the mind, it's terrible for everything. And we need to learn to be connected to that soul truth so we can understand that we are safe and supported and guided, and we don't have to be in this state of fight or flight all the time. Next is presence and awareness. So, this is living in the present moment with clarity and openness, observing thoughts rather than becoming them, the ability to pause, breathe, and respond rather than react, and awareness as a spiritual practice, seeing it as it is, not through filters. Okay, we have a lot of filters in our brain because of our trauma, because of the story we tell ourselves, because of all these things that we've experienced in our life. We have these filters in our brain, and then it warps what happens to fit into this filter, and it can cause a lot of issues. So when we let that go and start to have just this complete awareness, life can become a lot easier. And next is connection to the infinite. Remembering your soul is eternal and the physical world is temporary. Okay, our soul has lived many lives before this, it's living many lives at the same time as this, and it will live many lives after this. Okay, your soul cannot die. Energy cannot be created or destroyed, only transmuted. Okay, right now we're in our physical body. One day our physical body will die, but we don't die. Our soul moves on. And you get to go and have another experience. So, death is not the end, it's just a new beginning. So, feeling expanded beyond the limitations of human identity, you are more than this human body, you are more than this human experience you're having, you are more than just being a human. Okay, you can have lives as mermaids, as fairies, as an angel, as whatever it is. You have all these different experiences. You're not Joe every time you come here. I'm not Hannah every time I come here, okay? It's not, you are so much more than your physical human identity. And recognizing the divine within you and around you, right? You are part of this beautiful cosmic web. You are part of it all. You are part of God. You are a creation. You can create. You are the creator. Understanding that you are both human and infinite energy. Enjoy your human experience. Be be as present in this human experience as you can while you're here. Enjoy all the little things, all the little moments. Whether it be sitting on the beach, whether it be eating your favorite ice cream, not every day, but every once in a while is fine. So, things like this. So, we're going to talk about balancing the crown chakra. We want to create balance in the crown chakra so that we can have a connection to the universe and all living things to create that sense of oneness and universal love that we all have access to. If our crown chakra is balanced, we have a deep sense of meaning, connection, and peace. We have expertise of synchronicities and guidance, the ability to rest in silence and non doing without fear, wise perspective on life's ups and downs, and the sense of trust and surrender. If our crown chakra is underactive or blocked, it's spiritual disconnection, cynicism, isolation, lack of meaning, feeling cut off from guidance or purpose, over identification with the ego, little interest in inner life, hard time trusting or feeling alone in the universe, and the desire to oversleep. If our crown chakra is overactive, which is actually a lot less common, but it does happen when you are spending way too much energy in your crown and not grounding yourself. It's very important if you're working with your head to ground your feet. But it can cause escapism in spiritual ideas, spiritual bypassing, disconnection from the body or disassociation, believing that you are beyond human needs or like better than other humans, losing practical grounding in service of abstract spirituality. So you think you need to spend all this time in your crown chakra, you need to be all this everything. All your energy can't be up in your crown. You can't spend all day, every day, all you're doing is trying to channel information. You will literally lose your mind. Mental illness is a big thing with the crown chakra, okay? Being in some ways closed or some ways too open and becoming overwhelmed by knowledge, okay? Yes, you can have access to all this information, but if you're overwhelmed because you're just letting it overconsume you, that's not good. Okay, balancing the crown chakra, some things you can do. Meditation, sit in meditation, silent meditation, open awareness practices, praying, and loving kindness mantras will help. Practices that emphasize being overdoing, just sitting, paying attention to your breath, and resting in presence. Devotional practices, things like prayers, chanting Om, gratitude practices, and services done for others. Service done with surrender. You're not doing this to get something out of it, you're just doing it from the kindness of your heart. Rituals that cultivate reverence rather than performance. You are doing something as a ritual because you know it helps you feel released, because you know it's good for you, for your soul, for your purpose, for your practice, not because you want to post it on Instagram. Okay? Not because you're trying to get somebody's attention or somebody to like you or whatever. You're only doing it because you know you need to do it. You know it helps you. You know it's good for your journey. Breath work, long, slow breathing, alternate nostril breathing is good for nervous system balance. And you can do things like yoga poses like headstand, plow pose, lotus pose, butterfly pose, corpse pose. You want to guess what the next one is? Nature, spending time outside. Doing things like watching the sunrise, the sunset, stargazing, just like sitting in nature in a meditative state, just observing how connected everything is, how much the forest all works together, the waves of the ocean, how they just move and they're just creating this ripple effect, doing their thing, not thinking about anything. And exposure to art, music, and sacred architecture, and experiences that evoke awe. So whenever you look at something and you're like, oh, wow, that's amazing. That is so beautiful. I can't believe somebody created that. I can't believe this is real. That is a good practice. Study and reflection, reading spiritual texts, reflective journaling on meaning and purpose, working with a mentor, teacher, or spiritual community to learn more, to ask questions, to become more confident in building your intuition and this connection with the universe. Crystals like clear quartz, amethyst, selenite, or labradorite, and wearing the color white or violet. Essential oils like frankincense, sandalwood, lavender, and jasmine, or smudging with incense or sage as a ritual to help clear your energy and to be in a state of peace. Diet and lifestyle, which is very helpful. Eating light, simple meals before you're doing spiritual practices. It's really hard to be in a state of meditation if you just ate a big bowl of food and your belly hurts and you're just focusing on, like, oh my God, that was a lot of food. It's harder to stay in the state of meditation. People who live their whole lives basically in a state of meditation eat very clean, very specific diets. People like shamans and monks and all these people that do spiritual work for a living. And healthy sleep cycles is important. So get in tune with your circadian rhythm. Get that sunlight, sunset light in your eyes, okay? Sleeping is important. It's healing to our body. It gives us time in our dream state or astral traveling time, which is where your soul's out doing other things in other dimensions, okay? Sounds and frequencies, so chanting Om, but also listening to things in higher frequencies, sacred music, and also silence. Embodied practices like spending spending time in the body, doing things like walking meditation, gentle yoga, just creating very much awareness of how you feel in your body, and deep inner work to help you stay grounded. It's very important that you pair crown opening practices with grounding work, okay? To avoid dissociation, it is so, so, so important. Foods you can eat is blueberry, blackberry, raspberries, grape juice, poppy seeds, and fasting can also help you connect to your crown chakra. Some affirmations is I am connected to the divine intelligence that guides me. I surrender into trust and wise knowing. I rest in presence and remember my true nature. And chanting Om can also help. We are going to get into the physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual well being sides of the crown chakra. Physically, the crown chakra plays an important role in our physical well being by regulating the brain and nervous system, the control centers of the body. A balanced crown chakra supports harmonious connection between body and mind, influences the endocrine system, especially the pineal and pituitary gland, which play a central role in producing hormones that regulate sleep, growth, metabolism, and stress responses. The crown chakra is the gateway through which universal life force energy, prana energy, flows into our body. This energy nourishes the physical and energetic systems within our body, supporting healing and vitality. For our mental well being, the crown chakra plays an important role in our mental well being by supporting clear thinking, focus, and the ability to process complex ideas. It helps us to see beyond the mundane, fostering insights into deeper truths and meanings in life, and fosters detachment from ego and helps you develop a sense of inner peace. It allows you to see life from a higher perspective and make decisions aligned with your true self. A healthy crown chakra supports the belief in a higher plan, alleviating anxiety to uncertainty, and encourages trust in the flow of life, reduces mental tension, and fosters emotional stability. Emotional well being. The crown chakra plays an important role in our emotional well being by creating a profound sense of calm and emotional stability. It allows you to detach from chaotic emotions and access a state of peace even in challenging circumstances. It brings a sense of unity, serenity, and connection to all by dissolving feelings of loneliness and promotes universal love. A balanced crown chakra creates a profound sense of calm and emotional stability while bringing us a sense of oneness. It strengthens your connection to universal love, enhancing empathy and compassion for others, and this connection can soften feelings of anger, resentment, or bitterness. And for our spiritual well being, it plays an important role by serving as a connection to the divine energy and universal consciousness. It helps you to experience enlightenment, spiritual awakening, and unity with the cosmos. It helps align your actions and beliefs with your soul's purpose, offering clarity about your life's path. This alignment reduces feelings of confusion or aimlessness, replacing them with spiritual direction and fulfillment. The crown chakra enhances the effectiveness of meditation, prayer, and other spiritual practices. Deepening your connection to the higher realms, it helps integrate spirituality into everyday life, creating harmony between your physical and spiritual self. It enhances your ability to receive and interpret messages from the universe, guides, or higher self. This connection provides spiritual insights and strengthens faith in the flow of life. Some journal prompts to dive deeper into this and check in with yourself how this energy is doing in your body. When do I feel most connected to something greater than me? Describe the experience. What beliefs about spirituality or meaning am I ready to release? How can I invite more silence and presence into my daily life? What is one small devotional practice I can try this week? Where am I using spirituality to avoid real emotions or life responsibilities? And for visualization purposes, at the top of your head, you can visualize a white or violet light pouring into the crown chakra and radiating throughout your whole body. This energy is very, very powerful, very important. especially for doing spiritual work and being connected and being open. And overall, just makes your life, I think, so much better. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this. I am going to do one more episode of the series, just a little closing episode, and share a really cool experience I had at ayahuasca to do with my chakras. So stay tuned for that. Thank you all for being here. I love each and every one of you so much. If you enjoyed this series, please make sure you share it with a friend, with a loved one. Help this podcast grow and reach more people. And that's everything. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Love you. Bye.